for an executive order threatening to pull funding from the Smithsonian unless it stops promoting what he is calling divisive race-centered ideology. He has also put J.D. Vance in charge of purging the museum of anything that degrades shared American values or divides Americans based on race. No. Is this just an excuse to ignore historical facts about America? It is a fact racism does exist. It is a fact that slavery existed. Yeah. And every time you try to cover it up, I think of y'all as doing that cat box thing. You can't cover it up. You can't bury it deep enough. There's too many of us. We already know.
To American history. And, you know, while it may be an uncomfortable truth for this president, and for many people in this country was founded on slavery. It was founded on free labor, and it was founded on the backs of Black people. Mm-hmm. And for anyone who hasn't been to this museum, there are a couple of exhibits that are really, really important. There's Emmett Till's casket is there, because I've been there several times. There's an airplane for the Tuskegee Airmen, and there's an actual slave quarters. That's a fact. That's a fact.
They're all facts.
They're all
None
facts.
of this is made
all
up.
of it's facts. And so I just think
there's the famous picture of the man who was whipped, the shackles of the slaves coming on the ship.
Okay, so this is a museum we all need to get to. There's, like she said, the Emmett Till's exhibit. There's shackles to see and whips, people getting whipped. All this stuff is very important. And this is the stuff that we've seen over and over. They make history, Black history, about nothing but slavery. And I'm being funny. I'm trying to be funny about that. I mean, and again, I've been to the museum multiple times, but they just love slavery. It's just really weird. I mean, just listening to that montage and hearing them, it's the Emmett Till exhibit, it's the shackles, it's the whips. What I mean, Shelley, what did you think of that?
First of all, again, these the order or the notice that President Trump put out was called restoring sanity, as he titled it, right? Why does everything or anything circling around DEI or revisionist history? These people always respond with the same answers. It's always going to affect slavery and Black, as if that's all they think of Black people, is that everything about our history and culture has been revised, right? Is anything just stated in truth? Yes, there are museums that have slave exhibits. You can go right down here to the National Blacks in Wax right here in Baltimore, right? Those things are a part of history. But to say that those are the kind of things that are going to be removed, I haven't read that. I do know, just for I guess for clarity, transparency, there was the Tuskegee Airmen, some of the portraits or some of the displays were removed from the Pentagon site, and some other, I think Jackie Robinson, they were taken down mistakenly, or at least taken down for a little while they cleaned up the site, and then they were put back. So the site was back up. So again, The View, other people like that, they always go to slavery and Black people as if we are the only ones that these DI and revisionist histories affect. That says a lot to me, that you actually believe that our history has been revised.
Yeah, Nicole, what are your thoughts here?
You know, I am a big free museum buff, mostly because I'm frugal, but there are lots of things to see at the Museum of African American History. Not just shackles, not just Emmett Till's casket. In order to get to Emmett Till's casket, you get to go on a locomotive, right? On a train, and it talks about Black people discovering and creating and maintaining steam engines, right? Then they have another display that takes up almost a whole room in the museum, and it takes you from that very young America. Remember, because America's, compared to the rest of the world, we're like a teenager. We're not even really hitting our adulthood yet, right? America was ugly then, but it takes you from that ugly part and it drags your butt all the way to Whoopi Goldberg's trifling ass sitting on The View. So talk to me about how slavery works when you're sitting on TV for millions of dollars, spewing hate and division every single business day of the week, Miss Ma'am. Talk to me about it again. Talk to me about shackles, Anna. When were you in shackles last? Can you name someone in your family, or better yet, Whoopi's family, or better yet, Sonny's family, who was enslaved? The only thing that's enslaved is their minds. And they know politically slavery is a dog whistle for Black Americans. And they're trying to find, again, something that's going to stick against the wall. President Trump is trying to erase American history. What he's saying is America was a young nation. We made our mistakes, but we need to push forward. We're not going to forget our past, but we're definitely going to focus on the future. And if that's too hard for them to comprehend, listen, this winning is not for everybody. Not everybody is going to enjoy America being great. And I think we can pick maybe 5 or 6 people from The View who are not going to enjoy America being great again, but the rest of us shall. Putting back the statues that were torn down for whatever reason. American history cannot be ignored. Whether we like it or not, it is a part of who this nation is. And it doesn't always have to be slavery or civil war. There are a million great things about this nation, and we should focus in on those things. I agree with President Trump.
Tyrone, what are your thoughts on this Smithsonian executive order? Oh, you're muted, Tyrone.
I want to focus on slavery. Let's have a discussion about slavery. Tax Freedom Day this year is June 12th. Now, what Tax Freedom Day is, it's the first day after Americans have worked long enough to make a wage that satisfies their taxes. Okay. So now we are greater than 6 months in. Okay. Well, about 6 months in, about half of the year almost, that most Americans would have had to work in order just to satisfy their taxes. So for almost 6 months of the year, you're a slave. I don't give a damn if you're Black, white, gay, straight, transgender, old, young. Okay. When we see, and it's fine. I'm a big history buff. So yeah, let's definitely not forget any aspect of history. And it is true. I'm going to be absolutely forthright. Yeah. When people talk about, oh, well, slaves built America. Not in the way you think. Go deeper. Slaves built America in terms of acting as actual collateral for a lot of financial transactions. That is true. Okay. Not brick by brick built. Okay. Stop listening to Al Sharpton. Built in a more fundamental way as the financial undergirding of the South in particular, but in some cases, aspects of the North as well. So if we really want to talk about slavery, slavery exists up until June 12th in this country. If we talk about what we're able to keep in our pockets, as opposed to what goes to this government. And the United States of America, I always tell people, and this incenses me, the slave trade was a horrible chapter in American history. But I would encourage people to do some research on the Arabian slave trade. Slaves went 2 directions from West Africa. They went to the Arabias and they came across the Atlantic. There's a reason why you don't find an indigenous Black population in the Arabias. And that tricked some people into believing that they didn't have a slave trade, although it was much more pervasive and lasted a lot longer than the Western slave trade. The reason you don't see indigenous Blacks in those regions is because they were castrated and genitally mutilated so that they were not able to procreate when they went east. Okay, so this thing is a whole lot more complex than the smooth-brained witches on the, and I'm taking a page out of the Etiquette Lady's book and I'm replacing the B with a W. Witches on The View could ever hope to comprehend.
Yeah, I mean, virtually all countries in human history supported slavery during that time, including, like you mentioned, the African countries shipping Africans to the Americans in chains. It was awful. It was horrible. It was diabolical. No one is, saying that slavery was good or anything like that. Nope. But what I am saying, why are we the only ones with enslaved ancestors that continue to harp on it? This is what I don't understand. You go to the Caribbeans, you go to Africa, you go to these other countries, and you do not hear them constantly, generation after generation, harping on slavery. And they all went through it. Some of them still in it.
Yeah.
Some countries are still in it, but we do not hear it. And number two, the executive order didn't say anything about getting rid of
exactly.
Smithsonian. It says here, President Trump aims to ensure that the Smithsonian is an institution that sparks children's imagination, celebrates American history and ingenuity, serves as a symbol to the world of American greatness, and makes America proud. The order directs the vice president, like they mentioned, to oversee it, prohibit funding for exhibits or programs that degrade shared American values, divide Americans by race, or promote ideologies inconsistent with federal law. So, that sounds great to me.
That's what I'm saying.
Not dividing us by race, what is the problem?
That's what I say. How is it that order, when I read it, it said nothing about removing whatever Emmett Till's casket, nothing. So this is what I mean when many, I'm saying many Black people, many of us like the view types, when they read or hear these things, they immediately go to, they're going to take slavery out of the schools or can't teach Black history, whatever. Nothing of the sort. It basically is saying it's cleaning up these I think the word they use is improper ideologies and all of these teachings that revise history. If you're going to teach history, just teach it. The facts, the truth, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever the case may be, just teach it.
That's what makes American history so wonderful. We grew up together. Now, it started off hinky, on both sides. There was a lot of stuff going on, but as we've grown as a nation, we've grown better together. And that should be where all of this, because this is public money. This is not private money that's at the Smithsonian. This is all of our tax dollars. It should be focused on the fact that we are better together, not as individual pockets of things, but better together. And I feel him on that. That's a wonderful sentiment going into our 250th birthday.
Yeah, but they don't want that. Remember when they had at the Smithsonian the exhibit about aspects and assumptions of whiteness, white culture in the United States? And I'm not sure if it's not there anymore, but this was what they had, a whole exhibit on whiteness.
Folks,
that was going to be not about bringing us together. It's a total opposite, Nicole. They want us divided. They want us divided.
Well, it's doing that, and it's also embedding this subliminal inferiority complex into large swaths of the Black community. I've done this before in the show. I'll do it again. I'm going to recommend a book that I believe everyone, the women on The View, really need to read this book. Maybe they got an audio version for them. But it's called Black Fortunes. And the author is Shamari Wills. It's about 6 slaves who got out of slavery by various different means and went on to become millionaires in the late 1800s. Look, inflation aside, becoming a millionaire today is noteworthy, but these are people that came out of slavery that did it in the late 1800s. And so that puts the lie to all of this, all the white man and this, that, and the other. No. Okay, I'm willing to look at history, sure, and appreciate it. Absolutely. But not to use it as a cudgel to convince me and generations of Black people that we can't succeed.
Exactly.